The day the truth finally broke, inside the Brown family's courtroom explosion. It wasn't just a court hearing. It was an explosion years in the making, a storm that had been brewing quietly behind the glitter and smiles of reality TV. When it finally erupted, it shattered everything the world thought it knew about Kody and Robyn Brown. Outside the courthouse, the air was thick with tension. Reporters stood shoulder to shoulder behind metal barricades, cameras aimed, ready to capture the downfall of the family that once represented unity and faith. Inside, marble walls echoed with whispers as journalists, lawyers, and curious fans packed every bench. Everyone had heard rumors, whispers of missing money, betrayal, and manipulation, but this time it wasn't gossip. It was real, unfolding in front of the world, and there was no script to hide behind. At exactly 9 o'clock, a black SUV pulled up to the courthouse steps. The door opened slowly, as if even the vehicle knew what was about to happen. Kody Brown stepped out first, wearing a dark gray suit and an expression carved from stone. Gone was the charming TV patriarch who smiled through family drama. In his place stood a man cornered by his own creation. A moment later, Robyn Brown appeared. Her navy blue dress looked elegant, but her face told another story. Calm on the surface, but tense, defensive, and unyielding. There were no smiles, no hands held, no soft looks exchanged between the two. Just silence, the kind that feels heavier than words. Reporters shouted questions, asking if they had stolen money from the other wives or if charges had been filed. Neither of them responded. Their silence was its own answer. The story that led to this moment started quietly months earlier. It began with cryptic posts from Christine, Janelle, and even Mary. Each one hinted at heartbreak, deceit, and deep wounds. Sometimes the truth hurts more when it comes from those you once trusted the most. Christine had written online, a line that suddenly felt prophetic. Behind the scenes, whispers spread among ex-family members and insiders. Kody and Robyn were allegedly moving family money into private accounts, locking everyone else out. These secret transfers, disguised as emergency savings, reportedly began right after Christine's departure. Lawyers for Janelle and Christine demanded a full forensic audit of the Browns' finances, and what investigators found would send shockwaves through the sister wives' world. To understand the depth of this betrayal, you have to go back to the early days of sister wives. Back then, the Browns portrayed themselves as a single, united family, flawed but loving. All their income, TLC paychecks, book deals, online store profits, went into one shared fund. That fund paid for everything: food, school, mortgages, and family trips. But things changed dramatically after 2014, when Kody legally divorced his first wife, Mary, and married Robyn. That decision, which was supposed to be spiritual, gave Robyn full legal access to assets and decision-making power that no other wife had. Suddenly, the once shared family empire began to tilt in one direction, toward Robyn. Court filings later revealed that between 2016 and 2022, Kody and Robyn had quietly diverted more than $2 million from the family accounts into private trusts, LLCs, and personal bank accounts. Money that was meant to support all wives and children allegedly went toward luxury items, real estate purchases, and private school tuition for Robyn's children. By the time the others realized what was happening, most of the funds were gone. In court, their lawyers argued that this wasn't just poor communication. It was planned deception. Inside the courtroom, the tension was electric. Every seat was filled. Reporters and fans leaned forward, pens and cameras ready, waiting for the moment the truth would spill out. Kody and Robyn sat side by side, emotionless, while their lawyer claimed it was all a smear campaign, led by bitter exes trying to destroy them. But the prosecution wasn't shaken. The first piece of evidence projected onto the courtroom screen was a financial statement showing a $200,000 wire transfer from the Brown family's shared account to one labeled Robyn Home Purchase. Gasps rippled through the room. Then came more. Documents, emails, and recordings that painted a clear picture of financial manipulation. The judge listened closely, occasionally raising an eyebrow. At one point, he leaned forward and said quietly but firmly, "If even half of this is true, this case is more than miscommunication. It's fraud." The most heartbreaking moment came when the court played a never-before-aired video from the sister wives' set. In it, Kody could be heard saying, "I didn't think I needed their permission to protect what matters." The camera then cut to Janelle, shaking her head and whispering, "He stopped caring about this family the moment it stopped being about Robyn." The courtroom went silent. Within minutes, social media exploded. Kody exposed, Robyn court scandal, and your sister wives fraud trended worldwide. Fans demanded answers. Would Robyn go to jail? Would Kody face financial penalties? Would TLC finally cancel the show that had now turned into a real-life courtroom saga? When the judge called for the final document to be presented, the clerk announced, Item Supper 47, Financial Evidence of Unrecorded Transactions and Asset Transfers by Robyn Brown. As the folder was handed over, the judge pushed up his glasses and began to read. The room went completely still. The papers outlined a series of financial moves that began just 2 years after Kody's legal marriage to Robyn. She had used her legal status to open joint accounts, create business entities, and redirect funds. Among the main accusations were the purchase of a $900,000 home under her and Kody's names only, the creation of 2 private LLCs, Brown Family Holdings and Life with Robyn Inc., which received over $420,000 in payments, misuse of family credit cards for luxury handbags and furniture, and even a forged document authorizing her control over Christine's portion of funds. A handwriting expert later confirmed the signature was fake. As the judge continued reading, you could feel the air leave the room. Every secret, every whispered rumor, every suspicious look from past episodes was suddenly real. What had once been seen as jealousy among the wives was now documented proof of deceit. The image of the Browns, once a symbol of unconventional love and faith, lay shattered. The empire Kody had built around control, loyalty, and televised perfection was now crumbling under the weight of evidence. By the end of the hearing, there were no smiles, no goodbyes, just a courtroom full of stunned faces. Outside, the news spread like wildfire, not just on entertainment blogs, but across major networks. This wasn't just a scandal anymore. It was a reckoning. Years of secrets had finally come to light. And for the first time, the world saw the truth behind the cameras. A truth written in bank statements, broken trust, and betrayal too deep to undo. The Brown family's empire wasn't falling apart on TV anymore. It was collapsing for real, right there in court. For real, right there in court. The testimonies that changed everything. When the wives took the stand, even if only through video testimony, the courtroom transformed from a legal setting into a theater of truth and heartbreak. Each woman's voice peeled back another layer of the carefully built illusion that the world had watched for over a decade. Christine's pre-recorded statement played first. Sitting upright, her expression fierce but wounded, she stared directly into the camera lens and spoke with quiet anger. "I trusted Robyn," she began. "I wanted to believe she had our best interests at heart. But slowly, bit by bit, everything started to fall apart. She divided us, all while pretending to unite us." Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with betrayal. The once cheerful woman audiences had known on Sister Wives now spoke like someone testifying after a long emotional war. Then came Janelle's testimony. Her anger wasn't loud. It simmered just below the surface, sharp and restrained. "There were accounts I didn't even know existed," she said. "We were told we were broke, yet money was moving around that we weren't even allowed to ask about. And Kody, he just went along with it." The courtroom fell still. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about the trust. Trust that had been shattered by deceit dressed as love and management. Both women agreed. This wasn't financial mismanagement. It was emotional manipulation. The cold silence of Robyn Brown. Then all eyes turned to Robyn Brown. The woman once known for tearful confessions on TV, the emotional glue of the family, now sat motionless, silent, rigid, and unreadable. Gone was the soft-spoken sister wife who cried through episodes about unity and heartbreak. In her place sat someone entirely different. Cold, strategic, whispering only to her attorney. Her head remained down most of the time, avoiding eye contact with her former sister wives or the judge. Legal experts called her performance strategic silence. Her team likely advised her to show no emotion, no tears, no apologies, nothing that could be interpreted as guilt or weakness. And it worked. Her quietness was unnerving. Even without speaking, Robyn managed to hold the room in suspense, her silence louder than any defense. The numbers that told the real story. The prosecution then brought in their star witness, a forensic accountant. Calm and precise, she presented a detailed timeline of the Browns' financial activity. Line by line, transaction by transaction, she exposed how money had flowed between accounts while the family fractured. July 2019, Christine's daughter required surgery. Family funds were too tight, or so everyone was told. Yet $48,000 was spent that same month on renovations to Robyn's home. November 2020, Mary requested access to profits from the family business to start her own online venture. She was told the account had been closed, but bank statements revealed that just weeks earlier, $75,000 had been transferred to Life with Robyn. In early 2021, Kody proposed selling Janelle's RV, claiming the family needed cash. That same year, he and Robyn spent $60,000 on luxury backyard upgrades, including a new hot tub and outdoor fireplace at their Flagstaff home. The accountant's voice remained neutral, but her conclusion was damning. This wasn't poor bookkeeping. It was a deliberate redirection of shared family funds to benefit one couple at the expense of the rest. The children speak out. Perhaps the most heartbreaking part of the day didn't come from the wives. It came from the children. Several of the adult Brown kids had submitted written statements to the court. Their words hit harder than any spreadsheet or legal argument. One read, "We didn't know how divided things really were. We thought the money was for everyone. I worked 2 jobs thinking the family couldn't afford to help with college. Turns out it was just us who couldn't." Another statement, reportedly from one of Robyn's older children, said, "I was told not to ask questions. I was told everything was being handled. Now I feel like I never knew the full truth." The courtroom sat in silence as these words echoed. This wasn't just a case about finances anymore. It was about a family torn apart by secrecy. The betrayal ran deep, reaching not just through the wives, but down to the children who had once believed they were all in this together. The internet erupts outside the courthouse. The internet exploded. On TikTok, Twitter, X, and Reddit, users flooded hashtags like #RobynExposed and Kody Court Scandal. One viral comment read, "She cried on TV while collecting everyone's money off screen. That's next-level manipulation." Another added, "If Kody let her take that much control, maybe he wanted it that way." Within hours, a Reddit thread titled "Robyn Brown the Mastermind" gained over 40,000 upvotes. Fans rewatched old episodes, analyzing background details, Robyn's glances, her tone, even her placement in family scenes. What once looked like concern now seemed like calculation. The court's next move. Though no criminal charges had yet been filed, legal experts confirmed the court had grounds for financial restitution, forcing Kody and Robyn to repay hundreds of thousands of dollars. Christine and Janelle's attorneys requested an immediate injunction to freeze all family assets, preventing Robyn from transferring or selling anything further. One attorney summed it up sharply. "If it quacks like financial coercion and walks like financial coercion, it's probably fraud." By the end of the day, court recessed. Robyn exited quickly, sunglasses on, face hidden, walking fast with her attorney. Kody followed behind her, his steps heavy, his face pale and tense. They ignored the reporters shouting their names. For the first time, the power couple of sister wives looked small, almost fragile, beneath the flash of cameras. But if they thought the worst was over, they were wrong. The court was just getting started. Kody's breaking point. When the session resumed, the judge called Kody Brown to respond. The courtroom hushed. The man who had spent years presenting himself as the confident patriarch of a sprawling family now stood fidgeting with his tie, shoulders tight, expression strained. "Your Honor," Kody began, voice taut but low. "This isn't about fraud. It's about hurt feelings and revenge." A collective gasp swept the room. The judge warned him to watch his tone, but Kody pressed on. His words grew louder, angrier, spilling out like bottled-up frustration. "I gave up my privacy, my peace, my sanity for this family. I lived under a microscope for years, and now I'm being dragged through the dirt for trying to hold everything together." Reporters scribbled frantically. The outburst was raw, unfiltered, the same temper fans had glimpsed in confessionals, now unleashed before a judge. The gavel struck once. "Mr. Brown, that's enough," the judge warned. But Kody wasn't finished. He turned to face Christine and Janelle, his voice breaking. "You know this isn't about money. You left, you gave up. And now you want to blame me for the wreckage? I was the one trying to keep it all together." The courtroom fell silent. Christine stared straight ahead, stone-faced. Janelle looked down. Cameras outside captured the muffled sounds of his voice through the courtroom doors. This wasn't the calm leader from television. This was a man unraveling, live, unedited, and before the world. The defense tries to rebuild. After the outburst, Kody's lawyer tried to restore order. Her defense was calm, logical, and rehearsed, a stark contrast to her client's raw emotions. She argued 3 main points. First, that there were no formal contracts signed by all wives defining financial roles. Everything had always been based on trust and verbal agreement. Miscommunication, she said, was being mistaken for manipulation. Second, that the separate accounts and LLCs weren't acts of greed but of protection. As the family was breaking apart, Kody was allegedly advised by financial planners to consolidate what remained into stable entities. Robyn, as his legal wife, was the only one who could do so legitimately. And third, that there was no criminal intent. Every transaction, every account, she claimed, had legal or tax documentation behind it. This is not theft, she concluded. This is heartbreak. This is confusion. This is the slow collapse of a family that never fit the mold of ordinary life. But even with her composed delivery, the room's energy had changed. The people watching, the judge, the press, even the fans outside, had already seen too much. The documents, the videos, the testimonies, they painted a story too clear to ignore. As the gavel finally fell for the day, one truth hung in the air like smoke. The Brown family wasn't just a fractured household anymore. It was a fallen empire, and its collapse was being documented line by line, dollar by dollar, and tear by tear. By line, dollar by dollar, and tear by tear. The fall of the family empire. The courtroom was thick with tension. When the judge leaned forward and asked, "So you're telling me, Mr. Brown, that the plaintiffs were uninformed? Or that you and your legally wedded wife made executive financial decisions without consulting them?" The air seemed to freeze. Kody's reply came quieter this time, less certain than before. "Your Honor, I did what I had to do," he said. The family was falling apart. People were abandoning responsibilities. I had to preserve what was left. But his voice trembled at the edges. For the first time, Kody Brown looked less like the patriarch who once ruled a reality TV empire, and more like a man realizing the fire consuming his house might have been lit by his own hand. During a brief recess, Christine Brown stepped forward to give a short statement. It wasn't technically testimony. Her lawyer called it a clarification. Her tone was calm but resolute, and every word landed like a verdict. "I'm not here to fight Kody," she said evenly. "I'm here to tell the truth. Years ago, we all agreed family funds would be divided equally. We lived by that. Until one day, I was told there wasn't enough money for my children's school fees. And then I saw photos of Robyn's new backyard renovation." Her voice faltered, but she continued, "If he had told me things changed, I would have understood. But he didn't. He just took over and counted on us to stay quiet." It wasn't fiery or emotional. It didn't need to be. Christine's steady words were more devastating than any outburst. Within hours, leaked courtroom transcripts and sketch artist renderings hit social media. Twitter exploded with hashtags like #Kody loses it, Justice for Christine, and Defending Robyn. One viral tweet mocked Kody's meltdown. "He's in court yelling at his ex-wives like it's a therapy session. Bro, this isn't confession, it's court." TikTok creators stitched courtroom recaps with old sister wives clips, highlighting Kody's controlling behavior on screen versus his courtroom breakdown. "He didn't just lose the family," one viral comment read. "He lost the plot." Therapists, analysts, and marriage counselors all weighed in online. They said Kody's rage wasn't anger, it was panic. "When someone loses control over the system they built, they lash out," said one psychologist on a podcast. This wasn't about money. It was about power, image, and legacy. In that moment, it became clear. Kody Brown wasn't fighting to win a lawsuit. He was fighting to salvage a narrative. But in a courtroom, facts are heavier than feelings. And so far, the facts were burying him. When the judge adjourned for the day, his words were sharp. "This court will not tolerate emotional manipulation or showmanship. What we're determining here is not who was right in a failed marriage, but who broke commitments." Kody slumped back into his seat, pale and silent. Robyn sat beside him, her hands folded tightly, not daring to reach for his. The gallery emptied, reporters rushed outside, and the world braced for the next bombshell. Because if this was Kody's defense, the prosecution hadn't even begun to play its strongest cards. Robyn takes the stand 2 mornings later, the courthouse buzzed with anticipation. Fans from every major network lined the street. Inside, cameras were banned, but journalists scribbled furiously as the clerk called her name. "Mrs. Robyn Brown, please take the stand." She rose slowly, smoothing her blouse, her face unreadable but her eyes restless. For years, she had been both saint and scapegoat, the devoted wife or the manipulative mastermind, depending on who you asked. Today, she had to choose, Defend her husband or defend herself? Her voice trembled slightly as questioning began. Mrs. Brown, were you aware of Mr. Brown's financial dealings with the other wives? Yes, she answered softly. But only what he told me. I wasn't directly involved. Did Mr. Brown ever ask you to open joint accounts under your name alone? A pause. Then a quiet, yes, but he said it was to keep the money safe, not to hide it. The courtroom rippled with murmurs. Christine's attorneys then revealed the smoking gun, bank statements and property deeds showing nearly $600,000 in family assets transferred into Robyn's name over 3 years. Funds that had come from shared family accounts meant to be divided equally between all the wives. The evidence was devastating. Janelle's lawyer stood, voice controlled but burning with anger. This isn't about greed. It's about betrayal. Robyn Brown, knowingly or not, signed documents that stripped other wives of their rightful assets. Robyn's lawyer objected, overruled. Did Kody coerce you into signing those transfers? Her lip quivered. He said it was for our future. He said the others would be fine. Behind her, Kody's jaw tightened. It was clear his control was cracking. Kody under fire. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for, Kody Brown's cross-examination. He walked to the stand looking composed, dressed in a tailored suit and the trademark confidence that once defined him. But under direct questioning, that confidence began to unravel. Mr. Brown, Christine's attorney began, did you instruct Robyn to draw up a will in 2022, excluding the children of your other wives? Kody shifted uncomfortably. That was for legal simplicity, he said. But you did exclude them, correct? Yes, at the recommendation of our attorney. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Did you transfer family properties to Robyn's name to protect them from divorce claims? I didn't think it would get that far, he muttered. I thought they were just angry. Emails, contracts, text messages, all laid out in front of the jury, told a story of deliberate concealment. When the judge finally asked, do you understand the consequences of transferring shared property without consent? Kody's response was barely a whisper. Now I do. But I was doing what I thought was best for the family I still had. The irony was unbearable. The man who once claimed to lead with love was now standing alone, undone by the empire he built with secrecy and ego. The aftermath. When Robyn rose again to make her own statement, her voice cracked under the weight of it all. I never wanted this, she said through tears. Kody told me we needed to protect ourselves. I didn't realize what it would cost. I'm sorry. Some called them crocodile tears. Others saw a woman finally breaking her silence. Christine simply nodded, eyes glistening, not out of revenge, but relief. The truth was finally out. The judge's closing warning was cold and clear. If it is proven that assets were hidden or misused, this court will not hesitate to enforce restitution, asset freezes, or further investigation. Silence filled the room. Outside, hashtags like #Robyn Exposed and Kody Court Showdown trended nationwide. But inside, something far greater had shifted. This wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the collapse of a family dynasty. Fallout and reckoning. When court documents went public, the internet detonated. Memes, leaked screenshots, and detailed fan analyses filled Reddit, YouTube, and TikTok. Robyn built a kingdom while pretending to survive, one viral comment read. She cried on screen and collected everyone's money off screen. Major outlets picked up the story. People, Entertainment Tonight, even CNN. The judge's remarks circulated widely. Emotional distress does not exempt one from financial accountability. Christine posted a serene video on Instagram. The truth is finally out. Silence protects the wrong people. Janelle went live that night and said it bluntly. He bet our future on Robyn's comfort. And now the court gets to see it too. Even Mary, usually diplomatic, tweeted a cryptic message that fans immediately linked to Kody. Some people will betray you and then act like you hurt them. For once, the wives stood united. Not as sister wives, but as survivors. TLC scrambled for damage control as ratings spiked and advertisers grew wary. Insiders leaked talk of rebranding, perhaps a spin-off for Christine and Janelle about rebuilding and healing. Meanwhile, rumors swirled that Kody and Robyn's contracts might not be renewed. We can't be seen enabling financial abuse, a producer reportedly said. The final court ruling was technically amicable, focused on asset division, but between the lines were damning implications. Hidden transfers, undisclosed deeds, and misleading tax filings raised eyebrows among lawyers nationwide. Online petitions called for an IRS investigation. Legal experts agreed. If intent to deceive could be proven, felony fraud was on the table. The price of control. In the weeks that followed, Robyn was photographed leaving court, face pale and swollen from tears. Sources close to the family said she barely left her home. She thought she could control the story, a family friend revealed. Now the story is controlling her. Even more tragic, the children, once shielded from the family's darkest issues, were now reading headlines about their parents' downfall. They're carrying wounds they don't even understand yet, Janelle said in a private court statement. Kody, meanwhile, issued a short, hollow press release through his lawyer. This has been a painful experience. I request privacy while my family and I navigate these changes. But the world noticed what wasn't there. No apology, no accountability, no remorse. The saga that began as love multiplied had ended as a cautionary tale of power, ego, and betrayal. Christine, Janelle, and Mary walked away, not just from a man, but from a lifetime of silence. And this time, the truth was recorded, televised, and etched in court transcripts for all to see. As one viral TikTok summed it up perfectly, karma doesn't forget an address, and the Brown family just found theirs. Karma doesn't forget an address, and the Brown family just found theirs.